local government, or in my borough, for instance, to get nominated on the local strategic partnership and to get voted in, you've got to go through a political process. More people want to get engaged in the process. So all of a sudden, more people within the community voluntary sector are engaged. So it does create more engagement, but I think we have a responsibility to educate the electorate so they make the right decisions.
Who's the we? Is it the political parties? Who's the we? Because if it's government, then you're going to get the prevailing government spin on that education.
Well, we has to be those of us who understand corporate civic responsibilities. We need to take responsibility for our communities. And we, for me, represents the churches, the Christian community and the non-Christian community. We need to educate our communities on what we need to be doing. And I take, when I say we, I think of myself. I think of those around me. I think about those I engage with on a daily basis. I don't look at government as being the only we. Because government, first of all, many of them are teachers or police officers, or, you know, everybody's played a broad role in society. I don't just look. Politicians aren't born politicians. They're people that became politicians.
Well, you're saying that the church should be part of this education of the people.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to our final, very short clip, when we're not going to have time to go deep into this. I want to just show you a pastor in Little Rock who actually did direct his congregation, and we might have to carry this over to another time for full discussion, but just look at Bishop Robert E. Smith Jr. Telling his congregation who he is going to vote for, and this was just before the American elections.
In my investigation of both presidential candidates, neither of them meet the biblical standard 100%.
All right.
But just one of them have the basic understanding as to when life begins.
All right.
And only that one can be trusted to be sure life does not end prematurely. Because if you don't know when it began, you don't know when it ends. So if I can't trust a person to tell me when life began, I cannot trust a person to keep people from dying prematurely. I don't trust a person at the helm at war when they don't know when life began. When we don't know when life began, life is cheap and dispensable. I will be voting for John McCain and Sarah Palin.
Have one of the 4%. 96% for Obama, 4% against, and his reasons really hark back to what you were saying in our opening discussion. Not about the colour of the skin. Bible says there's neither Greek nor Jew, but about some of the biblical stances that the candidates took. Now, we're going to leave it for another program where we're going to really look at what the consequences of that act were. And he was one of 30 ministers across America that made a public stance and went on their pulpits just before the election time to actually say to the congregation, this is how I'm going to vote. He did go on to say that you can vote how you want, but this is how I'm going to vote, and for the reasons, and as you followed my ministry, you will understand why I've come to where we are. Now, is that the sort of engagement that churches should be having? For instance, you said you don't agree with the values of the BNP. Would you stand up and tell your congregation, don't vote BNP?
I will never tell anybody don't, because that's not democracy. Democracy is the liberty of expressing to people your views and allowing them express theirs and make people vote with their feet, just like in church. They vote with their feet whether they come to church or they don't come to church. You know, it's a democracy in itself.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because a lawyer here will tell you that actually to say don't is actually illegal.
Well, thank God I said it right.
So continue.
But I think that you know, I might not go as far as to say this is who I'm voting for. I keep that very private. I don't share but I do believe it's right for us to be able to say these are some of the concerns I have about this position, and I think it's important that we educate those that feel a responsibility that we feel a responsibility to, whether in church or out of church. But I don't think the church should be used, the pulpit should be used as a political platform. But I think
Baroness Howes, your closing statement,
Well,
10 seconds.
very brief. I believe that he should have given a balanced view. And I thought that he had gone too far in expressing his particular preference, because by so doing, he would influence a lot of people, regardless of their own free will. It would influence them.
Okay,
And
I'm going to just say that that was an hour sermon. We could only use 90 seconds.
yeah, what I've heard tells me that there was no balanced view there.
Paul, you've got 5 seconds, and then we've got to say...
Most pastors wish their congregation listened to them. They never do, so it'll have the opposite effect.
I want to thank you, Reverend Linza Bungay, Baroness Howes, and Paul Diamond. This has been George Hargreaves on the Politics programme. Thanks for joining us this month. See you next month. God bless you. Goodbye.